Hello everybody, welcome back. This is TechMedic. Thank you for joining me today. So we're going to discuss fishing in today's video. As you can see, there's many of these different types of ponds that you can find around the world. They're all going to offer you different types of fish, as well as lots of different types of resources inside of them. But we're going to be talking about fishing. Why do you need to fish in the first place? Well, you're going to need fish oil. Fish oil is imperative for a lot of the remedies that you're going to have to make inside of the game. So as we see here, it's going to be used for medical tonic, as well as that medical tonic being used in the basic antidote, and of course in your healing kits that you're going to need to heal yourself throughout your journey in subsisting in this game. So join me as we go ahead and explore some of the fishing spots around the Hudson Mountain and ultimately learn how to sustain ourselves. First and foremost, we're going to have to take a look at the different types of trees that are available to us. So we have many different pine trees that are all around. We got these orchard trees that are here, but most notably we need to find these gigantic grub trees. These grub trees are going to serve us by giving us 6 pieces of log, and of course we're going to get one special item, and that's going to be the essential piece. So as soon as we get through this, we're going to see that we have collected a tree grub. Now this tree grub is going to be utilized in a recipe that we can find here for fishing tackle. We do need to get a lot of cordage, and that's one of the drawbacks, is that you're going to have to farm a lot of this fiber here so that you can turn into cordage, as well as some of this wood that you can then turn into sticks. And from there we can go ahead and craft the fishing tackle. It is going to take a lot of these trees, but luckily they're easy to spot. Alright everybody, here comes the part where I ask you to like, subscribe, and comment while looking like Scuba Steve inside of our comfortable subsistence base while a blizzard rages outside in the middle of the night. Once we get done with this, we'll go check our traps and see what we got. But again, like, subscribe, and support all my endeavors. Thank you very much. In case you're wondering, you cannot fish in rivers, so just to be aware, there's many cool fishing places like this, but you cannot cast into these places. The water has to be deep enough. There's also some shallow ponds that you cannot fish in, so keep that in mind. It has to be in a lake that you have to fish from. Okay everybody, we're out here by my Silver Falls Birch base, and of course this is on my 10,000 day save. We have one essential item here that we're going to need to pick up, and you should never pass up an opportunity to pick up any of this scrap metal. Scrap metal is utilized in this recipe over here, in which you can go ahead and create a fishing rod with some of that cordage and the sticks that we talked about earlier to create your fishing pole. That's going to be essential. And of course, setting up your base near a body of water. As you can see down there, there's a lake. We're going to go ahead and fish at that. Okay, so we also have fishing traps that we can go ahead and deploy. We can go ahead and drag these onto our bar, and of course, as you can see here, we have to be underwater, so we need to get these into an area where we can actually set them up. So the way it goes is that the deeper you go, the better the catch. So once we got that one set up, and as we got a little bit of visibility there, we can go all the way down, and the catch cycle will even be greater the further down we go. So if I set some up here, we don't want to go too far down because we want to be able to just, swim without a scuba tank. But let me toss on my tank there. Okay, the 2 types of bait that we can go ahead and use inside these traps is we can use grubs, which we're going to put grubs here, and of course we can use rotten meat. We cannot use burnt food or fresh meat. We can't use berries either, so that limits us to only the rotten meat and suffocation. So let's get out of here and we'll check these in the morning. So you're probably wondering about the best times of day to fish. Just like in real life, right at the beginning of the day as well as late at night is probably one of the best times to go ahead and start fishing. At night you can just rely on the audible cue. And also the traps that are inside of the water, you also have to take into account that those will wear out within 5 days at 20% durability per day. So make sure that you check your traps at least once a day to collect whatever has accumulated in there. Otherwise, those fish will spoil, and that rotten meat will just replace what otherwise would be considered a fish. We also have ice fishing in the game as well. So let's go ahead and cast off, and then we'll see what we can get. It's important to note that you got to just pay attention to the bobber. And once the bobber goes down, you can go ahead and strike. And from there, we can go ahead and reel in. Also keep in mind that the eagles will come in and steal your catch. So it's important to go ahead and keep an eye on the skies, because you can shoot eagles down and collect their feathers for a glider. So here we go, we've got our catch coming in. We just have to approach, and we'll be able to go ahead and collect this fish. Alright everybody, let's go ahead and check our traps, because we have hit the midday, and of course midday is the worst time to go ahead and fish. We don't want to do that during this time because it's going to take extra long to catch something. But we can also see that we have fish available to us in our traps. And let's see if we can get something like a crayfish or a bass from the deeper traps that we have set down here. So it looks like we have something in this one. Another little fish. And another little fish. So we're getting something, but it's not what we really want. We want to hit that bass, salmon, and so on, because those are going to give us the fish fillets in which we can go ahead and cook and use with other recipes to make fish cake, as well as the fish casserole, I believe. But yeah, there's many different recipes that are utilized, especially that oil that you get as a byproduct when you harvest the other fish. So we can go ahead and throw these fish on the grill. You can do that as is, but for right now, we're just going to go ahead and run around for a little bit and check these traps in a bit. Alright everybody, the lake has froze over. Let's go ahead and check on our return on investment for the winter time. It's probably not going to be that great, because as you know, the conditions get worse and worse for fish to actually be caught and or captured. So with that, we can go ahead and jump into the lake, and we're going to go ahead and go all the way down to our traps that we set at the deeper end. Now, the theory is that the deeper the trap, the bigger the whopper. So we're going to go ahead and see just how true that is. I have one trap set up with a specific type of bait, and that is the grubs right there. And of course I have this one, a mixture of both. We've got crayfish, and the last one is just going to be spoiled meat by itself. And of course the traps are only good for what we have designated as small captured fish. So with that guys, you understand that ice fishing is in fact possible. You have to have an air tank, and you can hammer, or in this case axe your way through the ice from below. As you can see here, it's just going to take you quite a while, and you do need an air tank to do this. So once we break through the ice, if you want, you can go ahead and set up a fire, and you can go ahead and fish directly from this hole. Lame. But hey, we got a fish, right? So anyway guys, that's been my fishing video. For everything that you need to know, the seasons best to fish are summertime, and of course that has to do with the salmon runoff that make their way back to their spawning grounds. And of course it's all based around real life facts about fishing. So early morning, late night, as well as ice fishing and traps, all of that encompassed so that you can go ahead and feed yourself and subsist, and of course make those very powerful healing kits that you can go ahead and recover damage, especially when you're going to raid bases like that. So with that guys, thank you very much for your time tonight. Please like, subscribe, comment, and of course we will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye bye.